Welcome to Hockey Wiz Talks podcast. Today I'll be recapping the NHL trade deadline, and I'll also be talking about winners and losers during the NHL trade deadline. This is a recap of the NHL trade deadline deals. The Boston Bruins acquired Nick Ritchie from the Anaheim Ducks for Danton Heinen. The Buffalo Sabres acquired Wayne Simmons from the New Jersey Devils for a conditional 5th round pick in 2021. The Calgary Flames acquired Derek Forbort from the LA Kings for a conditional 4th round pick in 2021. They also acquired Eric Gustafsson from the Chicago Blackhawks for a 3rd round pick in 2020. The Carolina Hurricanes acquired Vincent Trocheck from the Florida Panthers for Erik Haula, Lucas Wallmark, Eetu Luostarinen, and Chase Priskie. The Carolina Hurricanes also acquired Brady Shea from the New York Rangers for a 1st round pick in 2020. The Hurricanes would also acquire Sami Vatanen from the New Jersey Devils for Yanni Kukkonen, Fredrik Claesson, and a conditional 4th round pick in 2020. The Colorado Avalanche acquired Vladislav Namestnikov from the Ottawa Senators for a 4th round pick in 2021. And the Avalanche also would acquire Michael Hutchison from the Toronto Maple Leafs for Calle Rosen. The Columbus Blue Jackets acquired Devin Shore from the Anaheim Ducks for Sonny Milano. Edmonton Oilers acquired Mike Green from the Detroit Red Wings for Kyle Brodziak and a conditional 4th round pick. The Oilers also acquired Andreas Athanasiou and Ryan Kuffner from the Detroit Red Wings for Sam Gagner, a 2nd round pick in 2020, and a 2nd round pick in 2021. The Edmonton Oilers also acquired Tyler Ennis from the Ottawa Senators for a 5th round pick in 2021. The Nashville Predators acquired Corbinian Holzer from the Anaheim Ducks for Matt Irwin and a 6th round pick in 2022. The New York Islanders acquired J.G. Pageau from the Ottawa Senators for a 1st round pick in 2020, a 2nd round pick in 2020, and a conditional 3rd round pick. The Philadelphia Flyers acquired Nate Thompson from the Montreal Canadiens for a 5th round pick in 2021. The Philadelphia Flyers also acquired Derek Grant from the Anaheim Ducks for Kyle Criscuolo and a 4th round pick in 2020. The Pittsburgh Penguins acquired Connor Sheary and Evan Rodriguez from the Buffalo Sabres for Dominic Cahoon. The Pittsburgh Penguins also acquired Patrick Marleau from the San Jose Sharks for a conditional 3rd round pick in 2021. Tampa Bay Lightning acquired Barclay Goodrow and the 3rd round pick in 2020 from the San Jose Sharks for a 1st round pick in 2020 and Anthony Greco. Vancouver Canucks acquired Louis Domingue from the New Jersey Devils for Zane McIntyre. Vegas Golden Knights acquired Robin Lehner and Martin Zergas from the Chicago Blackhawks for Malcolm Subban, Stanislav Memis, and a 2nd round pick in 2020. Vegas Golden Knights also acquired Nick Cousins from the Montreal Canadiens for a 4th round pick in 2021. Washington Capitals acquired Ilya Kovalchuk from the Montreal Canadiens for a 3rd round pick in 2020. The Capitals also acquired Daniel Sprong from the Anaheim Ducks for a Christian Djoos. Check out my fantasy sports blog at hockeywiztalksfantasy.blogspot.com. Check out my Facebook page, Mr. HockeyWiz777, and my Instagram, Mr. HockeyWiz77. Winners and losers during the NHL trade deadline. Winners during the NHL trade deadline. One of the biggest winners during the NHL trade deadline were the Carolina Hurricanes, who added a few key pieces to their team. With the injuries to Dougie Hamilton and Brett Pesce, the Hurricanes' defense is depleted, so they added Sami Vatanen from New Jersey and Brady Shea from New York Rangers. In addition to adding Vatanen and Shea, the Hurricanes also added Vincent Trocheck from the Florida Panthers, who will be a great second-line center behind Sebastian Aho. The Hurricanes seem to be gearing up for a playoff run, and if they make the playoffs as a wild card, they will be a tough out. The Edmonton Oilers needed to add more depth to their lineup if they were to make a deep playoff run, and that is exactly what they did at the deadline. One of the biggest needs of the Oilers was for a puck-moving defenseman, and that is what Mike Green provides. He can still be a solid power play quarterback on the 2nd unit. With the injury to James Neal, the Oilers needed to get help on the wing for Connor McDavid, which is exactly what Andreas Athanasiou brings. Tyler Ennis will also be a solid pickup as well. He can be a major contributor down the stretch. The Edmonton Oilers did a good job of upgrading their roster and not overpaying to do so. The Pittsburgh Penguins seem to be gearing up for another postseason run with the moves they made at the deadline. Connor Sheary and Evan Rodriguez were brought in from Buffalo to provide scoring depth, and Patrick Marleau was brought in from San Jose. The additions of Sheary, Rodriguez, and Marleau makes the Pittsburgh Penguins a legit contender in the Eastern Conference. The Washington Capitals added to their already potent offense by adding Ilya Kovalchuk from the Montreal Canadiens and Daniel Sprong from the Anaheim Ducks. Although Daniel Sprong most likely won't get much playing time, he could be useful if a regular gets hurt. Ilya Kovalchuk is a proven scorer in the league, and even though he isn't the player he used to be, he can still do damage on this Capitals team. With the addition of Ilya Kovalchuk, the Capitals become legit contenders to win it all. Check out my other podcasts on soundcloud.com/hockeywith777. Losers during the NHL trade deadline. The Buffalo Sabres made a few head-scratching moves by first acquiring Wayne Simmons from the New Jersey Devils, which doesn't really make sense, and then trading away Connor Sheary and Evan Rodriguez to the Pittsburgh Penguins for Dominic Cahoon. Personally, I thought the Sabres should have been sellers at the deadline because they most likely aren't going to make the playoffs, but instead they do what the Sabres do best and make illogical trades. The Toronto Maple Leafs needed to make a move to shake up their team at the deadline because by the way things are going right now, it doesn't look good. Their defense is atrocious and there is clear dysfunction in the Maple Leafs locker room. The only move the Maple Leafs made at the deadline was acquiring Calle Rosen for Michael Hutchison, which isn't really a major move. Without any drastic move or changes made to the core, I don't know if the Leafs are a playoff team this year. If the Maple Leafs fail to make the playoffs this year, the heat will be on Kyle Dubas. The Tampa Bay Lightning were among the busiest teams at the deadline, but they overpaid for some role players. While Blake Coleman and Barclay Goodrow are both great role players, they are not worth first-round picks. It is certainly a massive gamble by the Lightning to mortgage their future to win right now, but the Lightning have to win right now because their core are all in their primes. Even though the Lightning are losers at the deadline, they might be winners come June. The Nashville Predators were one of the teams that were rumored to be sellers at the deadline. Instead, they were one of the teams that didn't really make any significant moves, which is a risk, especially if they don't make the playoffs. Especially because Mikael Granlund and Craig Smith are both UFAs and would demand significant interest even if it's just for a rental. I guess the reason why neither Mikael Granlund or Craig Smith were traded was because the Predators feel that their team is good enough to make the playoffs. That's why no moves were made. On the next podcast, I talk about the top draft prospects in the 2020 NHL draft and the updated prospect rankings.